The following is a today's THV special presentation.
300 Pop Echo, clear to Conway as filed.
When you come to the airport to fly off on a business trip or a vacation, other than maybe thinking about the pilot getting you there safely, you're probably not thinking about these guys, the air traffic controllers. Let's see what they're all about.
Contact Little Rock approach 135.4.
Now, when a plane takes off and it gets out about 3 or 5 miles, the controllers in the control tower, of course, take care of the first leg of the trip. Sonny Lewis here, the assistant air traffic manager, is going to lead us the way and tell us all about it.
Departure jet lag 3787, passing 2000 for 3. Jet 3787, rock approach, radar contact.
Ah, yes. Much better view.
And what is your indicated airspeed right now?
Amidst all the high-tech gizmos and gadgets, air traffic controllers still rely on something very basic. Good old-fashioned eyesight and a pair of binoculars.
For example, this man right directly behind me is a tower controller. And he's responsible for most of the airplanes within a 5-mile radius, probably down below about 2,500 feet. And he can either get them on a radar scope, here, or we do use binoculars, and we visually acquire these airplanes too at the same time.
A new control tower is under construction to bring the Little Rock National Airport into the next century.
Probably it's going to offer us about another 75 feet. We'll be able to visually acquire things a little bit better just by a different perspective.
Expect a visual approach to runway 4 left.
The other half of controlling air traffic is in the radar or dark room.
For runway 4 left, Eagle Flight 927.
Those individuals will work them out, or those positions will work them out to about 35 miles from the Little Rock area.
So what may look like working a video game is far from it.
King Air 30 Sierra Echo, contact Memphis Center on 132.3. Good day.
One of the real stresses of the job is that you can't ever forget that you're dealing with human lives. And probably therein lies all the pressure. But you are dealing with a lot of people's lives every time you come in and work.
We're ready to continue the taxi now.
Number 00 Quebec, Roger, takes runway 36.
X36, thank you.
At the Little Rock National Airport, Chuck Dovish, today's THV, Travelin Arkansas.
Good day.
Say hallelujah, Hog fans, because the drive to Fayetteville will soon be a whole lot quicker and less tiring as the new interstate to Fayetteville is near completion, along with the state's first highway tunnel. Called Tunnel of the Ozarks, or nicknamed Gateway to Hog Heaven, or as some folks have called it, Gateway to Frank Broyles' Kingdom. Whatever you call it, come next January, the drive to Fayetteville won't take an eternity. Let's go in for a sneak preview. The decision to go a quarter of a mile through a mountain near Winslow rather than around it was one of cost and keeping the natural terrain natural.
Balancing out the costs, the environmental concerns, maybe led it more toward this, more aesthetically displeasing to have a big open cut, more aesthetically pleasing or acceptable to have the tunnel itself.
At a cost of more than $37 million, the north and southbound tunnels will be high-tech highway tunnels with 10 TV cameras and jet blowers.
There will be a control room here. There won't be anybody here on a full-time basis. Our folks will come by, check on things. We'll be able to monitor the systems to make sure everything's operating properly, and we can make all of the control changes from the Fort Smith office.
5 cross passages have been built between the two tunnels for emergency use. There will be 14 motorist aid boxes, and more than 1,200 high-pressure sodium lights will be installed to keep the tunnels at constant daylight brightness. So, after more than 2 decades of being in the works, there is a light at the end of the tunnel and the new passageway to Fayetteville. Near Winslow, Chuck Dovish, today's THV, Travelin Arkansas. The town of Ravenden Springs is holding on to what's left of its 160-some-year-old history. At one time, there were as many as 1,500 people here. The credit for establishment of the town around 1860 goes to a Reverend William Bailey, a Methodist minister.
It was my great-grandfather that discovered the spring after his dream, you know, and he was able to they said he was cured. He probably had something that Pepsid AC would have took care of all right now, but he didn't have that then. So he was relieved of his stomach acid by drinking water.
But Ravenden Springs is also known for something else. Caleb Lindsay is reputed to have taught the first school in the state in a cave near Ravenden Springs. So according to Randolph County records, the state's first schoolhouse was not a house at all, but a cave. School was taught in this cave during the early 1800s to the mid-1800s. The town's rough and rocky canyon has other unique features. The other natural wonder of Ravenden Springs is this rock next to me called what else but Lone Rock. Now, years ago, the gap that I'm standing here was much narrower, and the gap, of course, was called Needle's Eye. And I think I'm going to get out of here before this rock decides to fall down. You too can enjoy the beauty and mystique of the canyon at Ravenden Springs. Just use caution and stay clear of Lone Rock. In Ravenden Springs, Chuck Dovish, today's THV, Travelin Arkansas.
Pecan, peach, apple, coconut, apricot, and chocolate.
Yes, pies, fried pies we're talking about, one of my favorite topics. And as the sign says, the best darn fried pies in the South. So we decided to stop in and see for ourselves inside Lena's Pie Shop in Duval's Bluff. Lena Rice, with daughter Viv by her side, on an average day roll out and fry 150 to 200 fried pies with a dozen flavors. The way Lena goes at it, you'd think she's been doing this sort of thing most of her life.
No, you'd be surprised. I couldn't make a fried pie crust until I was 64 years old.
Really?
That's right. And one time I just decided I was going to make some and try them out. You know, I was going to try to do my best. And they turned out real good.
So what's the secret to Lena's fried pies?
The crust. The crust. They tell us the crust makes the pie.
Really?
They say that's what sells the pie, is the crust.
And as hard as videographer Brian Worthy and I tried to get Lena to reveal her crust secret, no way.
Okay, what's in the crust?
Oh. You wouldn't dare. Now, would you?
Depending on the number of pie requests, Lena and her daughter sometimes have to work 17-hour days.
You stand here on your feet a long time that way, and it gets, kind of gets next to you. It's tiresome.
So what keeps her going?
Actually, I guess it's the customers. They keep calling and keep coming after the pies, so that's what keeps me going, I guess. They said, best darn fried pies in the South, so that's what we put on the sign.
In Duval's Bluff, Chuck Dovish, today's THV, Travelin Arkansas. When the meat hits the griddle at Bobby's Cafe in North Little Rock, it's a lot of meat, a little over a pound to be exact. Orders for the Big Bobby Burger, as it's called, come in about 25 to 30 a day.
Well, it really started as a joke. And a guy came in one day and wanted a burger. It wasn't big enough. So the next time he wanted it bigger, and the next time he wanted it bigger, and so we ended up cooking him a pound burger. So he was satisfied, so he started calling it the Bobby Burger, and I guess that's how it got started.
And when talking about the Bobby Burger, there's nothing frozen about it. All the meat is hand ground by Bobby himself.
This is the secret. The killer, as they say. But hadn't you rather have a fresh ground burger like this than frozen?
Oh, yeah. How many folks actually sit down in one sitting, one person eat a whole Bobby Burger?
I've got two men that eat a double Bobby Burger.
A double?
A double Bobby Burger. Hey, I'm talking about one of them eats an order of fries or onion rings and a couple of glasses of tea and a dessert. This man is a walk-in garbage disposal, I promise.
Well, I've been accused of being one myself, but one must maintain some sort of dignity about it. Along with a plate full of waffle fries and a little ranch dressing to go with them, it completes the Bobby Burger meal. Yes, sir. And just think, there are folks that actually eat a double one of these. Unbelievable. Well, that's a man-sized burger. Yes, sir. At Bobby's Cafe in North Little Rock, Chuck Dovish, today's THV, Travelin Arkansas. You gotta try one of these.
It's a wonderful day here at Dave's place.
I don't claim that I make good chili. I make chili that tastes good and people like it.
Since this time of the year is usually chili time, we went to Dave's place in Little Rock to see why Dave's chili is so good.
To me, chili's hot, and it's got to be spicy. So it's the spices. You know, that if you don't feel it from inside, it's just, I don't measure when I cook. And I think that's pretty much the secret. It's all by hand. Basic ingredients that I use is onions, bacon, ground beef, spices, beans, and tomato. And we saute the bacon and add the onions to it until we get them translucent, add the ground beef and brown it all off, add my spices till it's just about to scorch the bottom of the pan. That's when I add my tomatoes and water, let it boil real good, and after about an hour of simmering, I add my beans, and if I need to thicken it up, I thicken it up a little bit, and it's ready to roll. The true flavor doesn't come out for another day or two.
One of Dave's secret ingredients is something called African bird pepper.
You can see a color difference between the cayenne pepper and the African bird. And this is really hot. And people who don't have a palate for hot, they're sweating.
Now, of course, this chili story wouldn't be complete without a little taste here. Ah! An African chili pepper. Just kidding. It's actually very, very good. At Dave's place in Little Rock, Chuck Dovish, today's THV, Travelin Arkansas. Good stuff, good stuff.